Let's study about some IR. So for India is concerned about. So number one, we have what does ongoing civil war in Myanmar mean for India? So India has so far walked a fine line between expressing concern at the interruption of democracy in Myanmar and engaging with the junta to protect its vital interests. So the influx of Myanmar peoples in the border states of Northeast, and this too at a time when the situation in Manipur remains volatile. And then capturing of two important towns by rebels. So the anti-junta forces have captured two important towns close to the only two border crossing points between Myanmar and India. And these towns are Recorder, that is close to Jokotter in Mizoram, and Khampat in Sangering region, around 60 km from Moreh in Manipur. And the later, the Khampat in Sangering region is also part of the proposed India-Myanmar and Thailand trilateral highway project. So the ongoing armed struggle between the military junta and the People's Defense Forces in the Chin region, then Sagaing region, have led to massive influx of refugees in India, especially in Mizoram and Manipur. So this influx of refugees in India has emerged as a major bone of contention between India and Myanmar, as these have been linked to violent ethnic clashes, drug trafficking and smuggling. Number two, we have migration and mobility agreement between India and Italy. So the agreement is set to strengthen cooperation on issues related to irregular migration while bolstering people-to-people ties between India and Italy. And it facilitates mobility for various segments including students, skilled workers, business persons and young professionals, fostering exchange and collaboration. So the agreement will remain in force for 5 years with automatic renewable unless terminated, and a joint working group will oversee its implementation, then convening periodically to evaluate progress and propose supportive measures for effective execution. So, graduates seeking professional exposure in Italy, post-academic or vocational training can secure temporary residency for up to 12 months. And then the agreement outlines quotas for non-seasonal and seasonal Indian workers with a reserve quota over range years 2023 to 25 under the existing flows decree. And the Italian government annual flow decree sets the maximum number of non European Union citizens who can enter Italy for work and self-employment. And now number three, we have how strong are India and Sri Lanka ties and with respect to India's concern. So China is the largest bilateral creditor to the country of Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka heavily relies on Chinese credit to address its foreign debt burden. China has also invested about 12 billion in Sri Lanka's infrastructure projects between 2006 to 19. China enjoys friendlier waters in South Asia and the Indian Ocean that it does in Southeast Asia and the Pacific, and China faces opposite from Taiwan territorial disputes in the South China Sea and East Asia. So Sri Lanka's economic crisis may further push it to align its policies with China's interests. And India and Sri Lanka have a long history of cultural, religious and trade ties dating back to ancient times. And both the countries are significant Indian Ocean countries, and their relations are viewed in the broader regional and Indian Ocean context. But the Chinese proposed forum on the development of Indian Ocean island countries sounded in opposition to India's security and growth for all in the regional, that is Sagar initiative. And also, China has formal control over Sri Lanka's Hambantota port as a part of a 99-year lease. And on the other hand, India-Sri Lanka's ties are strong as they both conduct joint military exercise Mitra Shakti and naval exercise Linex. And also, the Indian Prime Minister and Sri Lankan President recently resumed the ferry services nearly 4 decades after it was cancelled due to the civil war in Sri Lanka. And This Chinese strategy to encircle India is referred to as a strings of pearls strategy because other South Asian nations like Bangladesh, Nepal, and the Maldives have also been turning to China to finance large scale infrastructure projects. Number 4, we have Netanyahu is rendering Israel's global standing weaker. So, the International Court of Justice ruling said that Israel must immediately stop its military offensive in Rafah, so the southernmost city of Gaza. So, it is the latest setback for the Jewish nation in a war that grinds on with heavy civilian casualties and no end in sight. So the court refused to order a ceasefire then but now has concluded that Israel's Rafah offensive could lead to a complete or partial destruction of the Palestinian population in the city. So the court has also asked Israel to keep the Rafah crossing with Egypt open for aid delivery and allow the UN investigators to gather evidence about alleged war crimes. So besides demanding the immediate release of all hostages, immediately after the International Court of Justice issued its ruling, Israeli fighter jets pounded Rafah, and the International Court of Justice ruling are binding, but the court lacks the mechanism to implement them. That's all. Thank you.